Hey everybody, I'm the Drink Pro. Today we're going to try William Heavenhill 12-year-old bourbon. What's up everybody, Kyle the Drink Pro here with you yet again. Thank you as always so much for watching the channel, tuning in and sharing this video with your friends. Today we're doing a whiskey that honestly I have been putting off for far too long. This is William Heavenhill 12-year-old barrel proof whiskey. This is at 134.4 proof, and I believe that this is a distillery only release. Now I have reviewed tons of products coming out of Heavenhill in the past. I've done a lot of Elijah Craig barrel proof stuff. I've done things with Old Fitzgerald. I've done things with Larceny, but today I'm finally gonna do the namesake. Or am I? I really had a weird experience trying to find more information online about William Heavenhill. Now the bottle gives some background about who William Heavenhill was and said he was this distiller that sort of helped make the Heavenhill area famous, but I want more information about him. We don't have any pictures of him on the website. We don't have any discussion of him on the website. And as much as I, Googled around, admittedly a little bit cursory, but I didn't find any good info about William Heavenhill, the man, about his background, about who he was, about what he did. And he didn't found the Heavenhill distillery. He didn't seem involved with the process at all, at least based on the Heavenhill website. So if you've got more information about William Heavenhill and you want to throw it in the comment section, I would love to read it, because according to what I've seen, this guy was just kind of yanked out of obscurity by the Heavenhill distillery for branding purposes, which I always kind of have a problem with. I mean, I think Michter's did kind of the same thing, and as much as I like the Michter's products, I don't love how they got their story. That's a Pennsylvania story that they have repurposed for Kentucky purposes. Now, as I said before, the William Heavenhill we're tasting today is a 12-year-old barrel-proof product at 134.4% alcohol. I believe, again, that this is a distillery-only release, but they have several different versions that are out there. I've seen bottled and bond versions, I've seen different age-stated versions, so I want to be clear about which one we're tasting. This one actually was ranked the best whiskey of 2019, I think, by It's Bourbon Night, another whiskey tube channel. You should check them out if you want to see some more content. I like the way they have their camera set up, by the way. I may have to find myself a better lens to do something like that. But anyway, this is a 12-year-old product. It's from the 10th floor of the Rick House 1K, which is one of their brick houses. It's a brick house. It's a non-chill filtered product. They use 35 different barrels to blend together to make this, and we're gonna find out if it's any good or not. This product goes for over $200 at the distillery. It's an expensive bottle, and is it really 3 times better than Elijah Craig Barrel Proof? My instinct is no, but there's only one way to find out. Let's test it. Now, while I'm pouring this, I'll remind you that I have Glencairns for sale on my website, thedrinkpro.com. You should go check them out. And I will also say that this particular pour was provided to me as a sample by one of my anonymous donors. He's a member of the Patreon too. So consider joining the Patreon. In the meantime, enjoy this little clip. Now, I was debating about which version of Elijah Craig to use as a side-by-side comparison. I've got a couple back here on the shelf, but I think I'm probably gonna go with the A119, because the A119 is a pretty close proof point. This is 134.4, the A119 is 135.2. Pretty close in proof. I don't remember when I opened this bottle. I will say I love the fact that Mr. Anonymous here puts the opened date on these samples. That's incredibly cool, incredibly helpful. That way you know how long a bottle's been open. And it's just fun that this bottle was opened the day before my birthday in 2020. So let's go ahead and pour out a little bit of this Elijah Craig A119, which is often considered by a lot of people to be one of their best batches. In my blinds, B519 won every time, but I'm not gonna use that one because the proof is meaningfully lower. That one is sitting at about 61% alcohol, much lower than these 67, 66 percenters. All right, let's go ahead and do a side-by-side nosing comparison. Wow, that is just beautifully sweet fruit on that nose. I love what's happening there. I get a lot more sharp graininess, honestly, from the Elijah Craig. I thought about doing this blind. I decided against it just because I wanted to be able to intellectually break down why these differences may exist, and that's harder to do in a blind. But I believe the Elijah Craig is going to be younger. It's not going to be a 12-year product. And that kind of shows up on the nose. It's brighter. I get a lot more citrus. And those are notes I like, by the way. I mean, a bright citrus whiskey is a good thing in my mind oftentimes. And there is a touch more of a grain quality, but it's pretty muted still. It's not super sharp grain like the Old Fitzgerald 9. But the grain is a unique note because it brings a sharp brightness that fits alongside the citrus, but it also brings a slight bitterness that fits along with the barrel tannins. You can smell the barrel in this Elijah Craig, and I don't really think I got that, at least not on my first nosing of the William Heavenhill. No, I don't really pick up that at all. Which is interesting because it's probably an older whiskey. But the berries and the fruit on this are just wonderful. I mean, I get apple, oranges, cherries, like sweet cherries. Oh, blackberries, raspberries, blueberries. I get a little bit of an herbal quality. It's almost like the vines around the berries. Like it feels like you're in like a fruit growing orchard or something. It's really fantastic. And then I also get this nice sweet and cinnamon. This, it's not really caramel because it's not burnt sugar. It's like fruit pectin, fruit pectin and cinnamon. Really relatable notes, I'm sure. Ooh, actually, you know what? I think the Heavenhill, the vanilla is much more like a vanilla extract and it's kind of background, whereas the vanilla on the Elijah Craig, it's more prominent and it's a bit more like vanilla bean in the sense of being slightly more herbal, slightly less concentrated. And that's despite the fact that the A119 Elijah Craig is going to be slightly higher proof. So you might anticipate it giving you more of an ethanol alcohol burn. It's not really doing that today. Oh, the flowers are starting to show up. Oh, here we go. Yeah, as that fruit dissipates, this Heavenhill gets more and more floral. It's like maybe slightly rose-esque, but I get something more like, God, I don't even know. Maybe a tulip? It's very perfume floral. It's kind of funny. On one side of my nose, I'm getting fruit, and the other side, floral. Like this side's floral, and this side's really nice, deep berry fruits. And you put them together, I start to get just very subtle hints of that oakiness, but it's pretty quiet, pretty background. After really spending time in it, it just is such a stark contrast to the Elijah Craig because the sharpness that shows up on the Elijah Craig, that grain note, that maybe almost like a dry, slightly astringent oak, the ethanol, it's got a lot of the same characteristics. A lot of the same notes are there. That sweetness, that berryness, that fruitiness, maybe even a little bit of that cinnamon, they're all there. But there's something else that slightly offends the sensibilities that is also intruding into the pour that I don't get at all on the Heavenhill. So let's go ahead and taste them and see how they compare. I'm actually going to start with the Heavenhill because it's lower proof. Very interesting. So I really don't get that sweet berry note at all on the palate. Ooh, it's got a nice Kentucky hug. That high proof shows up. You know what? I may have just committed a major error that I always warn people against. Let me take a third sip here and I'll tell you about it. Yeah, when you taste a whiskey, you really want to give it 3 tastes. The first sip will just kind of acclimate you to the alcohol. The second sip, you're going to get the major overlying characteristics and the notes. And the third sip, that's where you're going to get real tasting notes. I continue going after that and keep getting more and keep digging deeper into other areas. But if you just taste it once and you dismiss it or you give some sort of note, you're probably going to be missing something. And I just broke that rule myself because the first note I said was, this isn't as berry forward as it smelled. Well, after tasting it 3 or 4 times, that berry is starting to show up more and more. And the alcohol was blinding me to it initially. It definitely does lean more citrus though. I do get some cherry, but it's pretty slight. More lemon, oranges. There's a considerable nuttiness on this that doesn't show up at all in the nose. I would say almond, like a nice sweet almond. And you know, for something that's 134.4 proof, it's not really that hot. You can tell it's high proof by the way it kind of sucks the moisture out of your mouth. And there's also a lot of pepper, both spicy like cayenne pepper on the mouth and black pepper on the finish that lingers for a long time. So you know it's high proof, but the flavors are really nice, kind of classic Heavenhill flavors, to be honest with you. They're nice and sweet, they're nice and slightly nutty. They got a good, sweet caramel vibe. I'm getting a little bit of the baking spice, a little bit of the fruit, maybe a little floral as well. Let me taste it again. All right, let's go ahead and taste the A119 Elijah Craig. Now this is, like I said before, a batch that should give it a run for its money. Let's find out if it does. Wow, this drink's so much hotter than the William Heavenhill. Lots more pepper, lots more oak, lots more astringency. It burns my tongue, legitimately, on the finish, whereas I didn't get that at all with the Heavenhill. It's a lot more oaky. There's so much more oak. It's kind of crazy. I don't think that the Elijah Craig barrel proofs are that old. I mean, I'm sure I can look it up and remind myself, but this 12-year pour is significantly less oaky than this Elijah Craig barrel proof. I mean, if you like an oak bomb, this is gonna be right in your wheelhouse, but man, I don't know if it's as comparable as I was hoping it was. I may have to pull a different sample just to see if I can find something that kind of compares to the Heavenhill 12-year. What do I have open anyway? A120, B520, nothing comparable. I don't think I have any more C919, but if I had a C919, that would probably be more comparable. I remember that being quite fruity on the palate. It was sharp and astringent still, which is kind of my criticism of the Elijah Craig barrel proof A119 compared to the William Heavenhill 12-year, but it had more fruit components, which to me makes it a more comparable whiskey. I'm surprised how little these two pours have in common. It's just super oaky. I get a little bit of the nuttiness, but it really just kind of like chewing on a barrel stave. It's sweet. It's definitely got a light caramel or even a simple syrup sweetness throughout it, but it doesn't have any of that berryness, none of that floral note. It's just, the more I keep sipping it, the more it becomes oak dominant. Gave myself a little bit more of the William Heavenhill off camera. I'm gonna give myself a bit of B520. Now this is a new glass, so don't worry about cross-contamination. This is a lower proof though, 63.6%, so this is lower than William Heavenhill. It's lower than that initial Elijah Craig barrel proof. Let's see if this side-by-side can't yield some more meaningful results for us. God, again, the nose on this William Heavenhill is just freaking incredible. I love what's going on here. It's so sweet and berry forward and creamy. I fully anticipated saying like, there's no way it's 3 times better than Elijah Craig barrel proof. That's a bullshit. I even kind of was like, I'll be a little clickbaity with the title. It might win. It might win, guys. The floral components are a lot more prominent for me than I got from the Elijah Craig. It still has the oakiness, it's more subtle. It still has the pepper, both hot pepper like cayenne and black pepper, but it's more subtle. It's just such a more well-balanced pour, but it's still super high proof. 134.4 is not something to sneeze at. Now, you know, cards on the table, I'm not comparing this to some of the older batches of Elijah Craig barrel proof. I recognize that A119 and B520 are not like the butter zone of the grand old days of Elijah Craig barrel proof, and it came in those differently shaped bottles and it was dark as night. I get it. This is what I have available. This is what I'm comparing it against. If you want to compare it against some of those old gems, you are more than welcome to do it. And in fact, you're more than welcome to send me a sample of it or reach out to me on my email address. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've got something you'd like me to try. I love talking to my viewers. All right, let's see how the B520 fares in this battle. Oh, that's even worse than the first one. It's dry, astringent oak. It just cannot compete with that William Heavenhill. The William Heavenhill is so much more nuanced. It's got that beautiful fruitiness, which you know I'm a sucker for if you watch the channel. I am a sucker for a fruity whiskey. And the William Heavenhill delivers that in spades. It doesn't really show up in any of these Elijah Craig barrel proofs I've tried. I have gotten it from the C919, but I don't have a bottle of that right now, so I cannot do that comparison. But if you find yourself in Bardstown and you're able to pick up William Heavenhill, you should absolutely do it. Now the 12-year barrel proof, I think it was a 2019 release. Not sure if it's still available. Maybe it's a secondary market purchase, but I don't know. You know, 3 times the price of the Elijah Craig barrel proof, probably worth it. 8, 9, 10 times the price. I don't know about that. You're kind of just rounding out a lot of those harsh edges. I'm not sure I can tell you it's 10 times better than that, but it's an amazing pour. Definitely worth having on your shelf. This is the best Heavenhill product I've ever tried. There it is. I said it. Now, I haven't had the really fancy John Fitzgerald larceny $1,000, $2,000 box, whatever the hell that is. Haven't tried that yet. If you've got one, send me an email. Let's do it. But this is the best Heavenhill product I've tried to date. I hope I can get myself a bottle of this. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoy the channel. Please consider subscribing. Click that bell. It helps me out immensely. I'm hoping to get to 1,000. And please consider joining the Patreon if you like what I'm doing. There's bonus content over there. There's also plenty of opportunities to win cool things. And you get tastings. I'm gonna send you whiskey. Come try it with me. That's all from me, guys. Y'all keep drinking like professionals. Cheers.